What is faith? Sadly, most people think following God demands no evidence. You just follow blindly, what the unbeliever refers to as blind faith. I once spoke to a guy who claimed he didn't believe, didn't have faith, nothing. He just knows everything. Interesting guy, right? Let's begin from blind faith to see if the faith of the believer is truly blind. This is how the dictionary defines blind faith: belief without true understanding, perception, or discrimination. Now, when an atheist uses the term blind faith on a believer, what he means is you've been brainwashed. That is, if we are to consider the dictionary meaning of blind faith, you've been brainwashed to believe in an uncertainty. To the big question, are believers truly brainwashed? That's not true. According to the Bible, faith demands evidence, not just blind belief. Few quick tips about faith. One is faith is activated or kindled through seeing or hearing. Thomas in the Bible struggled to believe his own master had risen from the dead because we all know dead men don't rise. Never had it been recorded in history of a dead man rising. For this reason, Thomas's faith couldn't be kindled. Jesus does him a favor of appearing to them again and showing Thomas his hands and feet with holes in them as evidence. The Bible records Thomas fell to his feet and worshipped Jesus. Why? Because now faith has been activated to believe a miracle of a dead man rising was possible. God did a lot of miracles in the Old Testament that people saw or heard and came to the conclusion, if those miracles were done by the mighty hands of God, then He can do it again. Evidence activates faith. Jesus did a lot of miracles. People rushed on Him because faith for healing had been activated in them based on the evidence that sick people are being healed. Blind can see, the crippled can walk. So if that is it, then it means I can also walk again. The crowd that followed him saw his works as evidence, thus making him trustworthy enough to place their faith in him. In other words, trusting in Jesus with your life. Jesus' words never failed. He promised He would break down the temple and rebuild it on the third day. When Christ resurrected on the third day, the disciples remembered what He said about the temple and realized Jesus was talking of His death and resurrection and not the physical temple. Immediately, the Bible records the disciples trusted Him as God. Paul writes, if Christ didn't resurrect, then our faith is in vain. Christ's resurrection proved His divinity as the uncaused cause of the universe, the Ancient of Days, the being responsible for our space, time, and matter continuum. This is awesome because now Paul has affirmed that belief in God demands faith, and faith in God demands evidence. So people saw Jesus resurrect, wrote it down. We read it today as history, and our faith is activated to let us know that we aren't serving something that was made up by one hungry honky guy taking a dump. Over 5,000 manuscripts agree with each other. Yeshua died, resurrected, and ascended. A part of Roman history states a man was hanged on a cross for treason and sedition, died, which we pulled off the cross and handed over to a Pharisee from Arimathea. On the third day, he wasn't in the tomb we gathered with our own soldiers. There is no way any thinking human being can be convinced that all these 5,000 people, including Roman history, met together to form this story. Jesus is a historical figure. It's impossible to bring Him back and prove Him or His existence in a science lab like many are calling for. Science is based on the repetitiveness of a theory, so that theory has to be able to be scientifically proven in Cambridge, Silicon Valley, Oxford, Lancaster, and some other places before it is accepted as fact. Interestingly, facts do change with time. That is why science is so good but isn't reliable, because the theory will change over time. Science is not perfect and will never be perfect. Historical narratives are gathered from multiple eyewitnesses narrating the same story but from different perspectives. This is what makes a historical narrative unique. They could either be true or false. Historical narratives don't get better over time, rather they remain untouched and are passed down to generations yet unborn for learning purposes, not to brainwash them. In this case, science has nothing on the Bible. The Bible tells us the words of God, whilst science also does its best explaining the works of God. There is this video I came across on the internet which I think can help you in understanding faith more. Let's watch.
The whole point of Christianity and believing in a God is you having faith in Him. You having faith and everything's going to be all right.
Okay. But wait a second. There's such a thing as sincere faith and insincere faith. If I tell you I believe in Jesus and I hate his guts, guess what? I'm a phony Christian. I'm a liar. So if I say I believe in Jesus, I better love this man and not hate him. Because if I hate him, I'm violating what Christ taught. I'm a liar.
What did that have to do with what I just said?
Well, it's not just enough to have faith. The question is it sincere faith? It better be sincere faith, because there's a boatload of insincere faith shown in just what this guy on the bike was talking about, Christian hypocrites. You know that, man? It's hypocritical faith, right?
I feel what you're saying. But like,
right.
I'm not really clicking right now.
All right, but then let's go on to the next step. I believe in Jesus.
Okay.
And you ask me, Cliff, why do you believe in Jesus? And I say, because I have faith. That's not a good answer.
Why it ain't?
Because there better be a reason.
I feel you can live how you want to live. Like, you can, like, listen to me what I'm saying.
Yep.
I can say I'm Christian,
right,
but I can be a hypocrite. I feel what you're saying on that.
Right.
But what's the point in believing in a God if you don't have faith in the God is real?
You're right. You got to have faith. You're right. But please think through this word faith.
Okay.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get on an airplane.
Okay.
Fly to New York City.
Yeah.
When I'm standing there at Austin Airport, can I prove to you that that hunk of metal is going to bring me safely to New York?
Okay.
No, I can't. But is there evidence that that hunk of metal was put together by reliable mechanics? Yeah. So based on that evidence, I'm going to take a step of faith.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a commitment to a hunk of metal to fly me through the sky to New York City.
Okay.
You see, there's faith. Biblical faith is evidence plus commitment.
Okay.
That's why Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15, if Jesus Christ is not risen from the dead, our faith is bankrupt, false, foolish. But because Jesus did rise from the dead, our faith in him is good, reliable faith. I don't believe in God because I'm scared to die. I believe in God because the evidence of your eye convinces me there's got to be an intelligent mind behind you.
You got it. Good to meet you, man.